come dicevo, è un po' diverso dalle realtà presentate in questo periodo e sempre se ci risponde, ovviamente. Non è una sartoria, non è, cioè non si occupa di accessori, non è un calzifiscio, ma è un marchio italiano che non è in verità basato in Italia, ma a Los Angeles. E vediamo se ci risponde. Il diretto interessato è Davide Baroncini, non so se conoscete Ghiaia Cashmere, è una realtà di appunto prodotti strettamente in cashmere, prodotti in Italia ma venduti all'estero. È una storia molto interessante perché è un pochino l'italiano che ha, diciamo, creato una vita diversa in un altro paese e creato un pochino il suo futuro lì. Quindi mi piacerebbe presentarvelo, se mi risponde, fatemi scrivere un messaggino giusto per... E, abbiate un po' di pazienza, adesso riprovo a invitarlo. E purtroppo l'unico orario a disposizione era questo, appunto perché lui, essendo a Los Angeles e iniziando la sua giornata lavorativa successivamente, questo era l'orario in cui potevo rubarlo, diciamo. Vediamo se mi risponde. Davide, noi ci siamo, ti stiamo aspettando. Ci sei? Sei connesso? Davide, ti abbiamo inviato l'invito per la diretta. Siamo anche un po' in anticipo. Io solitamente mi connetto sempre un po' in anticipo, appunto perché so che ci sono sempre un po' di minuti di adjustment un po' scomodi, però aspettiamo e vediamo se si connette. Davide, ti stiamo aspettando. Faccio di nuovo una piccola introduzione. Oggi ci stiamo connettendo con Los Angeles perché ho il grandissimo piacere di presentarvi Davide Baroncini di Ghiaia Cashmere. È un prodotto molto diverso da quelli che abbiamo presentato finora. È un, spero, fornitore futuro per quanto riguarda la parte casual per i miei clienti. Si tratta appunto esclusivamente di cashmere, un cashmere prodotto in Italia ma esportato nella sua città in cui vive attualmente. Aspetta che mi sta scrivendo, in Pasadena. Ehm, un attimino. Cancel invite. Dovrebbe essere qui a momenti.
Eccoci
Eccoci.
qua.
Ciao
Eccoci,
Davide.
buongiorno. Ciao cara, come stai?
Buongiorno, bene, grazie. Grazie di esserci, cioè, di averci graziato della tua presenza nonostante fosse una
Assolut-
mattina.
assolutamente, assolutamente.
Come,
Piacere.
come va?
Grazie per avermi invitato. Va benissimo, la mattina tra la bimba, i cani e tutto il resto è sempre,
Molto.
ci sono tante parti in movimento.
Esatto. Dimmi tu se per te è un problema parlare in
Sì,
inglese o se
no,
possiamo... Che
either way,
dici?
either
Okay,
way.
so good morning because in
Good
the late
morning,
morning
everyone.
time.
That's right.
Uh, Thank you again for participating and joining this live.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
So I do a little introduction and then I leave you I
Please.
mean, Okay, so I'm a style consultant, and we met through Instagram. Actually,
Mhm.
I've been so lucky enough to had the chance to meet you also here in Milan once you came here for work. Um, why I wanted to talk to you and why I wanted to introduce your story is because style consultants, I don't know if you ever worked with them with this kind of role, but I would be so much in love with the idea on a collaboration or something for future
Mhm.
clients that are interested in like a casual, high quality wear. So this is my point of view and why I wanted to have you here today.
Mhm.
But I also think your story is so fascinating. You're an Italian abroad, but you tell us your story. Give us a little introduction, whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
Um, thank you for your kind words. First of all, it was a pleasure to meet you in person. I think
As
that
well.
as much as communication tools today are so, efficient and valuable, I think it's very hard to replace the personal
Very
interaction,
true.
and to go deeper on that. I think that as much as today we all believe in this, like we are all, in a sense, we belong to the generation in between the analog and the digital
Yep.
time of communication, but I still think that it's kind of hard uh, to replace certain things. So as much as we like to think about ourselves as a new users of these modern time, of this contemporary era, I still think that
Certain
personal
things
touch,
doesn't change.
correct, correct. On a personal level and professionally talking, I think you can apply that. You can apply that professionally as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the introduction again. I will give a few. I will give a little recap of myself.
Yes.
Like you just said, I'm based in Pasadena, California. This is the town where my wife was born and raised, and where my daughter is.
Which
Where my
she's
daughter was
tiny,
born.
right?
Very little. She's about to turn 2 in June.
Super cute.
Um, and quite frankly, this became what I consider a home today.
Of
I'm
course.
extremely in love with this place, and coming from a small village in Sicily, I find myself way more comfortable living on such of a small
Of
environment.
course.
Pasadena count less people inhabitants than a city like Catania, for instance. So I
We have
feel
same
very, very happy.
almost same roots. My father is from Palermo, so very
There you
close.
go. There you go. Same side of different side of the island, but and I started working in fashion. My first real job in fashion started in 2010, and
With
I was based.
Cucinelli, correct?
No, my
No.
first job in fashion started with Suit Supply.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Suit Supply is this Dutch company that today pretty much counts, I believe, with the American market, um, a little bit over than 100 stores worldwide.
Yeah.
I started working with the company in 2010 at the Milano store when the company back then only had
Just
stores in Netherlands,
hmm
and in the like, I would say, like, like Northern European part
hmm
of their market, and UK. The first store that they opened in Italy was Milan, and the only one still
Yeah, it
existing.
was very new. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Forte, and it was an incredible experience. It's an incredible company. I suggest always people to go check them out. Extremely smart man, Fokke de Young, the owner.
They do a very
Man,
beautiful training, like for men where,
incredible, incredible.
yeah,
I always say this in whenever people ask me. Probably the most efficient in terms of, it belongs to Dutch people, isn't it? It's very,
Yeah.
it's cultural almost. Like I
But it
love
goes
how
very
Dutch people
deep.
makes business. Yeah, they do, and I think that um, back to what I said before, what I was trying to articulate. Um, you know, I think that today the visual component, um, people think that the visual component somehow replace what you are, no, or
Hmm.
your knowledge or your know-how, and I think that we live in this time where, and by the way, I would like to say that I'm so grateful for what we are experiencing. I think that thank God for the internet, thank God for tools
Hmm.
like Instagram, and I wanted to remark that because I don't want to sound like
But there is
uh,
always a but.
no, but the but that I was about to bring up is simply that when younger profiles, and this is, you can apply this not only to the fashion
Hmm.
industry, but like the visual component tricks you because you're like, okay, if I look like you, and if I drive the car you drive, and if I dress like you, and if I do things the way you do, and then I'm you. And I think that, or I can aspire to be that profile, or can aspire to be that person. And I think that that is away from reality. So yes, Suit Supply is a company that one of the things that I always felt they do very efficiently is recruiting,
Hmm.
and the way they train their employee. Back to the story. So yeah, they opened the first store in Italy, and I started working at that store. Uh, my English back then wasn't that
Very good.
good.
Okay.
None, to be honest. And and it took me a minute to uh, beside the passion I had for what I was doing for the clothing industry. It took me a minute to adapt myself to the model, very dynamic, very fast company. They move extremely fast,
Yeah,
and
it's a commercial reality.
yeah, it's I think in a sense, I mean the name itself, Suit Supply. It's something that um,
Speaks by itself.
exactly. But beside that, at the beginning, there was a perception. Today I think that it's safe to say that they develop their own brand identity, and that reflects on the way they build their stores, and that reflects on the way they, like, I think their brand today is a little bit more than that. Um,
But
but
did you
what's
go
interesting,
there?
yeah, sorry,
Sorry. Did you go
no,
that? Did you get into supplies with the idea that in the future you would become something within the fashion industry, or you were just improvising at that point?
no. I to be honest, I don't believe that expectation are expectation
Mm.
are never good. And
Okay.
when you're young, you feel invincible, and you feel so
You,
it's all about ourselves. The ego is a dangerous. So when you're young, you it's always better not having expectation. And
so you live day by day.
I was very fascinated by their models. I love the store, and I wanted to get into the fashion industry, but I didn't ever set myself an expectation saying, oh, if I started this with them
Okay.
today, then one day
Of
I would
course.
be my own. I work with them in Italy. I work with them in different parts of Europe. In UK, they were producing in China. They had production in this town called Wenzhou, and I was based in Shanghai, and I opened the first store for them in there.
Ah,
Great
però.
people that I really respect, and still today we are in great relation. The supply boys always come to the store to visit me, and I had a great time, and I really own that company. Lots of what I learned, and lots of what I am today. Um,
What brought you away from them?
uh, I think that this is a smart question. I think that I like to think that every time we start like professional relations are like personal relation, you know, you got in a relation with a person and you might have a longer cycle or you have a shorter cycle. There are people that gets into our life for a reason. And
Absolutely.
I think that I like it to compare my time at Suit Supply like something that I had to experience, something that really formed me and shaped me professionally.
For all
And
the next experiences.
yeah, and it was time when I left. I remember that uh, I think Suit Supply still today suits that. Forgive my gioco di parole. It suits the younger profiles by nature of the company, by the
Yep.
DNA of the company, because it's young, is dynamic. I remember when we started, you know, I always say this: selling suits in Milan is the hardest job somebody could aspire to get.
Why do you say that?
Milano is a city with there are only few cities in the world that excuse me, that has a very strong sense of, you know, like
Oh,
every Milanese guy really knows about suiting,
yeah.
and everybody knows about it. Everybody pay attention to it. Everybody is very dedicated to it.
Let's say
People
there's
invest in it.
also a lot of Italian ego.
No, but you
I would
know,
say.
like it's. I would say that beside that component, I will actually say is more cultural. You know, it's
Okay.
something that the city is a business city, and same with London. In a sense, the same with New York, and you know, I think that that attitude belongs to places where people wear the suits, not only for professional matter but also for pleasure. You know, in Milan you will
Yeah, yeah.
go
It's a
to
lifestyle.
Bastianello in the morning, and on a Sunday morning, this gentleman wear like a nice blazer and having a little
Yeah.
coffee. So it's like, you know, like even I remember, even on a bicycle myself, so like it was a good time. What I'm trying to say is like the combination of Milano as a city and that company and the way that company operated. It was a really, it was a real, it was a blessing for me. I really learned a lot, and I learned a lot in a relative short amount of time. You know, 3 years in an Italian company, in an Italian market, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And 3 years in a company like that, working in several
It's
parts of the world,
so much more.
it's like you fast process you fast forward the process a little bit. So after Suit Supply in 20, I moved with them to America at the beginning of between the end of 2012 and the beginning of 2013. That's when I met Brunello Cucinelli, president, and that's when I joined the company. I joined Brunello in March 2013.
Okay.
You know, different market, different dynamics, different company. Back then, I had a sense. Back then, I had a sense of the American market, but it took me a minute to really understand the customer, the market, the perception that people had
Yeah, even
about a
even
company.
because Cucinelli is like a very familiar based company, I guess, and an
Yeah,
Italian family
yeah,
based.
yeah. But that was the part. That was the part that I felt more comfortable with. You know, like
As an Italian.
Brunello. Yeah, correct. You know, Brunello is a public company, and as much as, to your point, as much as the perception of you know, is a quite large, is a quite big company, and I think I don't need to explain who is
Yeah. I guess everyone
but
knows.
yeah, but they maintain a very is a family, pretty much family, very family oriented and structured company. So I like to always speak about Brunello like
Family.
my professional father, in a sense, for sure, and personally impacted in my life. Personally impacted in my life as well.
Is there where you started to love cashmere and to work with it?
This is an interest. I would like it to use this occasion to explain that. I I I I don't look at myself like a cashmere lover, a cashmere guru, or
Okay.
I think that cashmere, I think that cashmere garments, um, a cashmere sweater gives you the sense of a valuable item. Whoever
Hmm.
touch a cashmere sweater, or whoever touch like a good sweater, or a cashmere jacket, or a cashmere blazer, a cashmere overcoat, the
Has a
sense
different
of
perception.
the sense is of something special, is of something like precious, and even if you are not too sensitive about or too knowledgeable about the material, it's something that
You can
it
still
gives
feel it.
you it gives you a precious feeling. It's something that you feel you want to use it consciously, and protect it, and kind of, even if it's an old sweater, it's always hard to throw it away a sweater, or to give it away a sweater. It's something that
Do you think it stays under the terms of quiet luxury that it's so called right now?
um, I have
Or
I've been
was your
always
intention to be?
no, I've been always skeptical about trends, and about new terminology, and
Okay.
about new
Hmm.
labels, I should say, more than terminology, because labels are not like boxing a brand, or a trend, or is never a good thing. Like I think that consumers like tends to simplify their approach to shopping, and
Hmm.
to brands, tends to label things, and once you're labeled in a way, you stay that way. And I think that luxury, first of all, I think is a term that is being overused, and abused, and I don't
I
stand
totally
for it.
agree.
I personally look at the term I personally look at the idea of luxury in a very relative way, and I have my idea of luxury, which is not related uh, um, to the vulgar, like
To the
to the
materialistic
value,
terms.
correct, to the value, or to the price, or to
L-
the yeah.
Let me guess, is about more experience and time.
But not even. That's another thing that people keep saying. I
Yeah.
think is more. I think it's more. I think it's more. If we apply the term luxury to a retail experience, of course, it's about the experience. If we apply the term luxury to a garment, like relaxed cashmere, like post-COVID use of items,
Hmm.
then yes, it's about the feeling, and about you. I of course, luxury has to do with time, but from my side of the fence, I like it to look at luxury, or about quality items, more in terms of experience, or of time, in terms of authenticity.
Okay.
If I invest money in whatever I'm buying, either is
It
a
has to
suit,
be
or
worth
a
it.
sweater, or a watch, or a car, or whatever it is, I like it to think about something that is authentically made, that is real. There are certain items that instantaneously give us the feeling of like, oh, this is something that has an history. This is something that has even if I don't know the history of that
Mhm.
brand, there are certain brands and items that communicate to you right away the value, the who make them stand for, or
And Ghiaia Cashmere to me, for what I'm following so far since the beginning that I started to follow you around like COVID time, I think authenticity and simplicity, it's two terms that you can apply to it, right? It's
for
something
sure.
that
For
and
sure. Yeah, and yeah, sorry if I interrupt you. Before I forget this concept, it's also if I would have started Ghiaia, if I would have found the Ghiaia 10 years ago, the brand would have a completely different connotation. I think
Of course.
the line is, which is a blessing sometimes, and it's a limitation other times. The line is very thin between who I am as a person and what the brand stands for. Also, it's like one-man show pretty much, so it's very hard for me to stay into those lines. But yeah.
You said in an interview, what I make is the easiest way to share my roots to the world.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to put this sentence in a context and explain to us what is Ghiaia and how it was born exactly, and the history, as you said, that's the most important thing about a brand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that we are a young, even though I try to brand it Ghiaia and to shape the brand through legacy of what we do and how Italians approach manufacture and our idea of quality, our idea of quality garments is a young company. When I say that Ghiaia is the easiest way to share, it was the easiest way to communicate our roots, is because when still, I mean, this is something that we still, thank God, can own, is that Italian goods, made in Italy is historically always been a very valuable way to produce goods. Made in Italy is synonymous with so much in the world. And yeah, please.
So you were already one step forward. I mean, you already knew that as an Italian, I would say portatore. I don't know how you say that in English, but
carrier.
Yeah,
Carrier of Italian
you were already.
But more than that, I thought that so whenever you start a company, and this is something that all the other founders could confirm to you. Whenever you start a company, is I firmly believe that it's about the message you carry. It's about,
Very true.
it's about your why, and being Italian, even though I spend now about a third of my life in the States, it's something that is so radicated in me that it would be impossible to take it away. So, of course, when I started the brand, being Italian and Italian manufactured goods undeniably were part of my being. So like it was the easiest way to show that I don't believe in marketing or branding something. How you make something is very relative. Few people care about that. What you make is absolutely relative. It's really why you make it that make the difference. So what I came from and what I experienced was of course a big part of my why, big part of the message I wanted to send. And yeah.
And what exactly, or better, like, what's the biggest thing that you want to bring into Ghiaia from your roots, from Sicily, I guess, and like, I mean, what is the biggest connection to it?
I think it's hard to express it. So it's hard to simplify it as a concept. There are so many layers, and I think that being Italian and what I experienced growing up, and the place where I grew up, and the people I work with, and being an immigrant, and it was like, I always say, every time I make something, or I design something, or I produce something, there are so many moving parts in my mind that it would be almost impossible for me to explain.
Yeah, I
like
get it.
what is it that I'm bringing over, doing what I do. But it was like, again, when I started the company, I'll give you this example. When I started the company, I remember I'm still working with this extremely talented photographer. His name is Justin Chang. Is became a friend, and Justin and I met during my time at Suit Supply. So we were both two kids. Now he's father of
Wow.
two beautiful babies, and he lived close by. We grew up,
Okay.
and we met each other back in 2018. And when I show him the idea, and he's an extremely talented photographer, and he's very respected in the industry. He published 2 books. He has a 3rd book coming out, and he works for Kodak. He's an incredible professional. And I remember showing him the idea, and when we shot the first campaign, I had literally 5 samples. The company wasn't ready yet. We didn't have any client, pretty much. And what I noticed when I opened the Instagram accounts for a business, kind of give you is a good thermometer of where you are in the market, and what is the perception that people have. And we would take this beautiful shot of incredible people, incredible profile, and incredible locations, and using this incredible camera, Japanese lenses, and printed the shot. I remember the first season I had paper catalog. First season I had like catalog that people could see with photos, and it was crazy. And I would post a photo, and we would get like such of a little response, like we didn't have the impact that's why I didn't call the brand with my name, and my message wanted to be not about myself, not about what I like or who I am.
Okay.
Because I humbly think that back then there was a story that had to be still written. I am, and I wasn't necessarily anybody. I was in the industry for a relative good amount of time, and I didn't want to send that message. Nobody cares. I didn't care first, so why other people should have? And I remember posting these beautiful photos and 60 likes. And then my wife would take a photo of me in a parking lot with her phone. 2,000 likes. So I'm like, okay, we can go. There is a truth in the middle, and what I'm trying to communicate is that a brand has to be a combination of a lot of things. Another term that people overuse today is lifestyle. There are so many again labels that I try very hard to stay away from, because it's almost like chipping the idea of a brand. The process is way more, like I said before, way more articulated than that. So once I expose, even though what I just said, once I expose myself personally, it's really and during COVID, I founded the company in 2018. Our first client was, we for the first 2 seasons, we only sold to this client. We had an exclusivity deal with Neiman Marcus, and so the brand was really I was operating out of my house. So,
but you were the why, so I guess that is why it went viral, when you kind of put your face in it, isn't it?
When I exposed to the people more how I believe, my idea of living life, and my idea of my day by day. Sorry, but my dog is snoring, snoring under my table.
No worries. I have one too, so no worries.
A white noise of him snoring. So yeah, when I started the company, and still these days, I'm really conscious, and I always try to balance what we're communicating. So beside who I am, which I generally think is relatively important to the brand, to the mission of the brand, and where the brand stands for.
Not really. I mean, now you really represent Ghiaias. It's like it is who it is. I mean, it is what Ghiaia is, and I think, as you say, the why that you actually communicate to the people every day, that is what makes it, and that's why I actually loved it because it's something that I lived in America as well for many years. And it's something that I was like, if I was in New York, when I was living in New York and there was Ghiaia there already living, I would feel closer to home. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I think also that is why, that is the why that Ghiaia gives to people. But you also said to some
But
interviews that you've
you
done.
know, but you know, you are very. It's very interesting the way your point of view. It's interesting because for the same reason, probably Ghiaia founded. If Ghiaia would have been founded in Italy, would not have
The same reaction, of
the same
course.
impact.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, like if you are not the point that I'm trying to bring is that building a brand on somebody personality or somebody life, it is a not a longevity wise. Like let's say you are not into me, and then I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You might be a guy that's like, I don't like cars, I don't like
I get
watches,
it.
I hate dogs, I don't drink coffee, I don't
But
cook,
it's very
I
hard
don't like
because,
to. No, but you know what I mean, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
I should have built a brand for only people that I think relate to myself, I would be
Of
cutting
course.
off I would be shooting on my foot. So like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on my feet, sorry. So like what I was trying to say is like, of course, it's personal and impacted of what I do and how we do it, but he has very. I try to keep it more about other components
To
than
be more,
just my
to be
personal side.
broader than that.
Yeah, because at the end, allow me to say, if you just nobody want to hear about somebody all the it would not be
I get
interesting to
it.
me. You know what I mean?
I
Like
get it. I get it. Yeah.
you are very kind, but
You also said, at least what I heard you said in some interviews, that Americans say that the people that you interact with in your life, they reflect a lot on what you do and how you do it. How
for
the
sure.
people are in your life reflected on Ghiaia, and like, how do you wanna? I mean,
I, I would say that that's what I meant before. Like if I would have found it 10 years ago, it wouldn't be the same. Um, I believe that the surrounding we are animals, and like animals, what surrounds us it defines us. So you know, within the terms that we use before, community is one of those things that you now always heard in today marketing
mhm.
terminology. It's like, yeah, community and and it was almost a paradox because coming from a small village, I kind of underestimated the value of that,
The power of
of the,
people.
of the factor. Yes, and when I moved here, at first I felt very isolated. I felt very, coming from New York, where you have this constant mess surrounding you, and the people, and it's overwhelming. When I moved here to Los Angeles, and
Totally
living in
different
Pasadena,
reality.
I had a different sense. Like I'm trying to compare. I'm trying to compare Pasadena to something we have in Milano. It would be like living in I don't know, Como,
I get it.
or Bergamo.
Mhm.
And so like undeniably, once I found myself surrounded by people that will be stimulating
Creativity.
my not only creativity, my day by day life. Like
Mm-hmm.
people that could give you a little bit. You have. It's like part. It's part of growing up. you get married, and then you start a business, and then you have a kid, and all of a sudden, like you realize that people, you started surrounding yourself by people that most likely think like you or lives like you, or that has like something you can relate to. And when that happened, for sure, that change, that was changed the brand, changed myself, and it changed the company path.
In your case, we can say, as an Italian, we say, dietro ogni grande uomo c'è una grande donna.
That it never been truer, like it never been absolutely. My wife has back to what surrounds you, like my wife is an extremely strong
But
woman.
did she has a reflection on Ghiaia, creativity speaking, image speaking, like how did she influence like the whole reality that you created during these years?
Very organically,
Organically.
being my wife and being the mother of my child.
But I mean, it has to be more than organically because she's very present, isn't she?
Into the brand dynamics, she's relatively present, in the sense that she's the person that I always ask opinion about.
Inspiration.
She's my first, besides being my inspiration, she's my first. I trust my wife.
Of course.
Point of view, and I trust my wife. I always use this line. If I go to war, I bring my wife with me. and that is true, and that is real. But I think that what she did, looking at a larger picture, what she did with my baby and this house, and my family is where I stand. Is my pillar.
I want to meet her sometime.
Absolutely.
Another thing you said that kind of caught my attention is you don't have to be bad to make yourself better.
You don't need to be bad. You don't need to be bad to be better. That's something I learned. That's something I learned here as well. This is interesting. Being Italian, and now that I understand more the American culture, we always believed in these. We grew up, and we are son of we are son of the same generation. I think we grew up in this environment that was very a bit hierarchic, allow me to say. So this idea that like you first have to have gray hair to express yourself, or
very Italian thing.
Yes, we have lots of goods in there, but also some and but we grew up a little bit in that environment, and today that I understand that, and today that I left, again, that I'm that I'm an immigrant, I understand both sides, and it's like you don't need to be bad to be better. It's something that everybody should stand. It's like I said before about expectation.
Yeah.
We kind of I mentioned hierarchy because it kind of comes with that. Italians, we really, yeah. It is almost in the social fabric of ours. It's like we know everything. We think we know everything. We grew up surrounded by beauty, and we grew up surrounded by, if you think about it, like post-war, post-Second War, Italy was undeniably a world epicenter. Like we had great movie producers, we had great artists, musicians, art in general. We express ourselves a lot through what we were making.
Very
and
much.
What happened in the last 2 decades is that Italy, it's being more of, we are chasing having a job,
Mm-hmm.
and we are
Yeah.
chasing
I
paying the
mean, all
bills.
around the world. Yeah.
You know, but even in Italy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I remember being.
Absolutely.
I always say this as much as my value as a professional was relative at such a young age. I was making nothing in Italy. In Italy, it's very hard to. In Italy, it's very hard even to be out of the box, but not
Trust
by
me.
your, but not by your, like, you know. I'm convinced to be special, so I'm special, or I'm convinced to be different, or I'm convinced to bring on the table something else. It's hard to even showing through what we do. So, like,
Trust me,
you
I
know,
know.
talented people have a hard time to express themselves.
Absolutely.
So like when I realized when I moved here is that, yeah, you don't need that to be better. It's something that you should always, like I said before, not having expectation is part of that. You should always allow yourself to day by day to be open
Improve.
to learn something different, to improve, or to see things from a different perspective. And when you live, and that's very important. Also, the people that surround yourself kind of give you that sense, you know, like, uh,
Very true.
I think it's
I mean,
I think it's a big part of who we are and what we do, you know.
absolutely. I mean, I'm a fresh business too. It started with COVID, and it's barely 2 years that we are. I mean, the BMEN is alive. So I totally understand what you're saying, and it is very hard, especially when it's a new concept in Italy to get out there and be taken seriously. You can add to be a woman, but whatever, that's another another speech. But yes. But beside this sentence that we just discussed about, what I wonder is like where Ghiaia, sorry, is going to get better and improve, and like what are the big projects, the upcoming projects that you have for it?
I always look at a brand like, uh, it's almost like a baby, you know. It's today that I'm a father, I realize the deep sense of life and the deep sense of, not to give you a such of a dramatic answer, but Ghiaia as a brand, um, you know, first of all, it is seated in a very special place, which is California.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that California, like some part of Italy and, you know, some parts of Asia, and in the people, in the collective imaginary, the collective idea that people have about this place, um, it's so, the way you live your life here, and the lightness that we are surrounded by, and the weather, and the
Mm-hmm.
people, and, you know, like, every time I go to around south of California, you have this sense of, you almost feel the ghost of the past. You know, you feel a little
Okay.
bit of Hollywood, and you feel a little bit of, you know, you go to an hotel, you spend a night somewhere, and there was a rumor Jim Belushi spent a night, and here's where Kennedy would have gone on the week. So
Well,
it's like, yeah, you have the sense. I think the Ghiaia, being being a brand founded here, um, I like it to see. I like it to think of Ghiaia like a very um, gentle, and we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. That's what
lots
I'm
to
trying to
do.
say. We have a lot to do.
Okay. But it's gonna be, I mean, you're gonna secretly and jealously keep it in the US, so you think it
Mm,
there
there
could
is
be the
very
plan.
there is very little secrets about what we do, in the sense that when you start a company, you know, I always say, like, no romances without finances, you know, like
Hmm.
there is not that much you can romanticize the idea that it's what I'm trying to say is, like, it belongs to the natural development of a brand to grow. You know, growth is part of what we has to be part of what we do. Things that don't, like, if you are not moving forward, if you are not growing, then you are stagnant, you are static, and nobody's
Absolutely.
interested on that. So I think that Ghiaia is a story that I need simply my audience to be interested in our story. So America has been rewarding us, and is a market that I know and that I have a better sense of. My compass, my professional compass, is a little bit more efficient in America. So I would
Okay.
probably keep. I would probably give this market a little bit more of attention for the moment.
Okay.
And for the future, I don't exclude, of course, an European future, or you know, like, I can't wait to have a store back home. Absolutely.
But either way, I want to collaborate with you as a style consultant.
So that's a little bit hard. It would be a little bit hard because that's what I do.
What do you
That's my
mean?
job. That's my job. That's what I do
No,
for
I
the
know,
moment.
but like if my clients are interested in your product, I can,
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
introduce it to them.
Anytime.
I tell you,
Anytime.
Davide, like give this order, like send
Any,
it to London
anytime.
or good.
Anytime. We'll be super. I thought you mentioned by no. Anytime. 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 Absolutely.
Question that is a little more technical. Like as a style consultant, I usually, um, let's say, take care of like, do you know dermochromia, the concept of
Absolutely.
dermochromia? Does Ghiaia, like how Ghiaia take care of colors, and like what is the relationship that you have with colors compared, like in your collections?
I am, I'm a little bit, like I said before, we are son of like the brands I always look up when I was a kid that really fascinated me were the one that expressed themselves through colors, and beside the shape and silhouettes, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I remember those
Which are fundamental, by the way, shapes and
crucial.
crucial.
But like, from talking about colors and dermochromia and talking about that, I loved colored things, and I think that are very appealing. And it's a great day, it's raining, you put on a red sweater, and now you feel like
Okay.
you feel good about yourself. So I grew up looking up to brand like Benetton, and Ralph, and
Mm-hmm.
Brunello, in a sense. So I like it to, yeah. To be honest with you, navy sweaters, if you go at any time in our e-commerce or in my store,
You always find it. No?
out of 10 SKU, you might find two
Thank
navy sweaters.
God.
Yeah, because
Thank
of
God.
course, yeah, I am wearing a navy sweater. It's something that
Yes, exactly.
everybody feels comfortable with, and it's great on everyone. But I always
Contradicting.
I always I always like to I always like to I always like to have I always like to have something colorful on, and to give
Do
that,
you know your season? You know that
it's
dermochromia is
a
divided by, okay.
to be honest with you, again, living in California, kind of, my like I said before, my compass, it's living in a place where it's always now, I don't mean to sound like a brat, but living in
Yeah.
a place where it's warm all the time, and
You use
like,
colors
it's
and
it's it's
it
kind of
has,
hard to it's kind of hard to determine it. Yeah.
but like dermochromia and the season by itself, they all have every colors. It just differs between intensity, value, contrast, and so if I will come in LA, I will call you and I do the color seasonal analysis
Please,
on you.
please, please, please,
And to
please,
your wife.
please. We have very
Uh,
light winters and almost no middle season. So, um,
but you know that I'm talking about the color seasonal analysis,
yeah,
right? So that
yeah,
they're
no, no, no,
okay
no, no.
because
I'm, I'm
I'm not
being,
sure.
I'm being very, no, no, I'm being very saying that beside, beside the technical aspect, like the living in a place like this,
Okay,
kind of
okay,
doesn't
okay, okay,
allow you
okay.
to really stick to that.
Yeah, yeah, We have approximately 10 minutes to
Hmm.
not get over the 1 hour. Um, a question that I always ask to the BMEN guests is like 3 words to kind of like tell me what you think about this and how you um, put these in a context. But we kind of talked about it also already about luxury, elegance, and time. Like, what are these 3 words for you? Like, what they mean for you, and
So
in a certain
one more time. Elegance,
luxury,
luxury, elegance, and
elegance,
time.
and time. We talked about it
Um,
already
yeah,
about
we
luxury
did.
and time, but about elegance, like, where is Ghiaia in this term?
Um, I think that being elegant is part of our it's almost like manners, and it's almost like actually it is manners are part of being elegant. And I believe that elegance is uh, talking about men and women style. I always look at people that elegant people elegance is has to be effortless. If I'm trying to be
Exactly.
elegant, it means it's the anti-definition of like
Exactly.
I think that is a subjective. It's not necessarily a subjective component. When somebody's
Mhm.
elegant, we have the sense of, we are kids, and like I said before, you grew up in this romantic environment, and you will always have that guy in your hometown or in the
Mhm.
village that kind of give you a little bit more of that sense of the patina, the aura of being elegant. Somebody, you walk the room, you notice right away. Luxuries, like I said before,
Yeah, we
is
we kind of covered those.
it's just
So it's
something
like
that is something I have my idea, and again is there are some, it's so relative.
very
You can apply
relative.
what's luxury for me, it will be different to you when it comes to an idea of luxury. Talking about
Mhm.
luxury goods, I like it to think about luxury goods like valuable goods and quality goods and authentic goods. And time is the most valuable
Is it?
thing
I don't
that we own.
interrupt.
No, it's the most valuable thing that we having time is a luxury.
We have a
Itself.
question from Kelly that asks, "What
Mhm.
brands inspire your beginning fundamentals?"
I think that, when I left Brunello first, it took me a minute to kind of detach myself for the company, and I had this idea. I didn't want the brand to feel like something else, or to feel like the younger version of something else. So I tried to
Mhm.
be inspired by brand that brought that idea of authenticity to me. So of course I was inspired by Brunello, Ralph, which I had the pleasure to meet in person finally
Wow.
recently. It's somebody that probably the reason why I work in fashion.
Really?
Safe to say, incredible, incredible, incredible professional. People don't realize, we give it for granted, but people don't realize that Ralph has been Ralph for about 50 years
So
now.
I would say that to her next question, Kali next question, what current brands inspire you today? I would say Ralph is a safe answer.
Ralph never stopped inspiring me. Brunello inspired me more as a person today,
Mhm.
an entrepreneur than as a brand. I'm a big fan of brands like, I'm a big fan of Umit Banana. I think is a very, I don't, I'm not necessarily inspired by him, but it's somebody that I look up to,
Mhm.
somebody I respect. I like his way to dress men. Very sexy, very very strong. Which other brand? I love Aime. This brand owned by a friend of mine,
What
which I'm
again?
seeing. Aime Leon Dore is a brand that
Okay.
I know the owner, and I'm meeting him this week. And actually, I'm going to New York to meet him, and I'm going to model for their brand. Um, what else? Giorgio Armani is a little bit of a father of all of us. somebody I
Well,
always
that's
look up to it, and I still find it extremely inspirational.
that is a very true. I mean, Armani is the father of all of us. That's a very, very true
In a
sentence.
sense, in a sense,
Yeah.
who work in fashion at any given point. Issey Miyake is somebody I look up for as well. Genius. Yeah, these are the people that probably catch my attention.
So, Davide, next time alive with you and your wife so that we can meet her,
Please,
so that
please,
you
that would
tell
be great.
us, because it's interesting also to know the story of Ghiaia by the closest person that kind of stood by you during the process, right?
Thank God. Thank God she was here. Otherwise, I don't think I would have make it.
So next time with your wife, and I hope I'm gonna see you in LA to personally meet you
Absolutely.
again, but also
Absolutely.
to the seasonal color analysis.
Absolutely.
And I hope we're gonna collaborate together very soon.
Absolutely. It would be a
I
pleasure.
actually do have a client that I had to talk
Anytime.
to you for.
Anytime.
Okay,
Anytime.
perfect. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
your
much
time.
for having me, and thank you for your time, and thank you for everyone willing to listen to us today.
A big kiss, un grande
Ciao
bacio,
cara,
grazie
ciao,
mille
ciao, un
Davide.
abbraccio. Ciao,
Un
ciao, ciao,
bacio,
ciao,
ciao
ciao.
ciao.